Hello, Wisconsin. Welcome to your Friday edition of As Goes Wisconsin before the Labor Day weekend. And we're going to have some fun today. Matt Miller's going to be here for his monthly pop culture update. Pat Kreitlow's chiming in at 10:30 for our crossover Civic Media Host Fridays. We'll hear his best, worst, and weirdest of the week. And then we have a good Am I the Sphincter? And it's a good one as far as like, what do you do when your kid's a bully? Like, how do you punish when your kid is the one who is bullying? How do you handle that as far as making sure they know how serious it is? So that's coming up at 11. We got Brewers tickets to give away. So at 10:20, we're giving Brewers tickets away. At 11:20, we're giving Brewers tickets away for Sunday's game against the Phillies at 12 p.m. What's the weather going to be like on Sunday? Is it supposed to be so nice? Today is beautiful.
I think it's supposed to be really, really nice out. So, I mean, I won't be here for it. Of course, I'll be in sunny Indiana. Yeah. Oh my gosh, 95 inside.
It's gonna be hot. Real hot. Wear your sunscreen.
Wear that sunscreen, people. Wear them hats. Wear the big hats. Gentlemen, wear hats.
How are you doing, Greg Bach?
I'm great. I'm really looking for. So I got a weekend coming up. I'm going out of town. It's the once a year family reunion with my wife's side of the family, and we're gonna have a great time. This time tomorrow, I'm gonna probably be stuck in the middle of Chicago traffic. But you know what? A few hours
on
after
a Saturday, don't you think most of the traffic would be today?
The construction. There's huge construction happening, and there's just gigantic pieces of equipment. So I don't think they'll be working because it's a holiday weekend, but just the equipment being there in the middle of 94 as you enter into downtown, not downtown Chicago, but just the past Cicero, it just stops. It just Cicero.
Well, it makes me think of Chicago.
Yeah.
That's where she kills Dynamite.
Well, no, go. What's it?
Have you seen the musical Chicago?
Oh, yeah.
And there's in Cicero. That's all it makes me
think
about.
He had it coming.
Yeah, exactly.
He had it coming. I love that song. I love that song.
Anyways, so that's that'll be fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. Hang out with my little nieces. They're adorbs. They're getting tall and older now, so I'm just waiting for the year where I walk in, they'll be like, "That's fine," and they walk back upstairs, and I don't see them for 48 hours.
Yeah, that's. I don't know many people who have a preteen girl who, whenever I go, "Oh, how's 13 going?" They're like, "Ugh."
You know what's interesting, and I'm sure that my sister, being the mother of my niece, will have a different idea, but I never felt like even, I mean, because usually teenagers, kids, they don't hold that sort of like apathy of boredom of adults away from anybody. But whenever I would see the niece and the nephew growing up, even in those 12, 13, 14, 15 years, run to the door, hug you, how you doing, miss you. You know, there was always like, it was never just like walk past you with a phone in their hand and just be like, "Sup, bro," and then walk away.
Well, consider yourself lucky.
Yeah, I am very lucky.
All right. Well, I wanted to start with the GOP's proposed solution to childcare affordability. Thought we'd just run through and give it an honest once over of what they're proposing of how to handle the childcare affordability problem. And overall, it seems like their solution is not more money, which is what Democrats have been asking for as far as continuing to fund childcare counts with over, I think it's like $360 million. This, there's a package of 6 bills from Republicans that are getting circulated. They're looking for co-authors right now. And I just thought we'd just go through them and let people say whether or not they think this would help the situation.
Okay.
We'll go.
All right. Yeah,
so the first one is creating a pre-tax savings account for $10,000 annually in childcare expenses for families. So it's like how a HSA works.
Yeah.
That covers like half the year?
Maybe.
Ish, depending. Because I'm pretty sure one kid, that's half the year if you have one kid in childcare. Because I think most cost I have seen is like prices I have seen is somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000 a month for one child.
Yep.
So it's a start. it is pre-tax, but
And that's the price now.
doesn't get you that far.
Yeah.
There's another bill that lays out details for an interest-free revolving loan fund for the providers themselves, which would allow childcare facilities to borrow money interest-free. So it's not a grant, it would be a loan for renovations, which would allow them to expand capacity as far as having bigger, places. But I don't know if at least from what I've read, and again, if you have more insight and more information, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know if the problem has been the facility size. I think it's been how many people you can get to work for the wages that you can afford to pay them. So I don't know if that's been so much the problem. It's like, oh, we need to be able to get access to money to expand our facility. So that's the second one. The third is creating a new type of license for facilities to be known as large family care centers. So, family daycare centers typically operate out of a provider's home, and the change would expand capacity by creating a category for such centers that care for between 4 and 12 children. So, the large family centers would be prohibited from caring for more than 8 children at a time and who are 2 years or younger, an increase compared to current rules, which allows family centers to care for no more than 4 children at once who are under 2 years old. So, this is the other thing that I've been hearing a lot from it kind of gets into the rest of these. It's like deregulation is the problem. The reason why costs are high is because of the rules saying how many kids can be taken care of under like what the ratio needs to be. And it also gets to the next one, which this one I really have a issue with. Lowering the minimum age from 17 to 16. The fact that it's already you can be 17 and be like a certified childcare provider. I did not know that.
Because you're a child.
That already seems. Why aren't you in high school?
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, I'm welcoming pushback if someone can argue why it's better to open up the doors for 16-year-olds to become assistant childcare teacher or school age group leaders when I think they should be in high school. But yeah, so it's lowering the minimum age from 18 to 16 years to providing sole supervision to a group of children. Sponsors say the change would alleviate Wisconsin's shortage of qualified childcare workers. I didn't know. Is there a huge amount of teenagers who are like, they just won't let me work.
Yeah.
They just won't let me give childcare. I didn't know that was that's the solution to where the bottleneck is of qualified providers.
This the common GOP solution is, instead of just giving more money and the obvious thing, let's rearrange all the rules and then high five ourselves like we did something, like we actually came up with a solution that's worth anything.
The fifth one is increasing the maximum number of children allowed per worker, as well as the maximum number of children per age in group centers. So group centers could change their ratios of workers to children to match the average teacher pupil ratio in the local school district. Now, this is one I don't want to pretend that I know whether or not that is actually creating an artificial bottleneck, because I do know that it has been, like especially for kids like infant and toddler, which I will have soon enough, it's 1 to 4.
Yeah.
One person taking care of 4 kids seems like enough.
Yes.
And so increasing that ratio and thinking that that person is going to be able to still have enough attention span for that many kids. Watching one-year-old run around is hard when you have I've been at parties where there's lots of adults around and everyone thinks the other one is watching that kid.
Who's watching this child
and they're like,
right now?
Where did Jimmy go? Where's Jimmy?
Why?
Who was watching him? I thought you were watching him.
Oh no, he ate something. He ate something.
And then finally, allowing a category of providers known as certified childcare operators to care for as many as 6 children under the age of 7, regardless of whether the children are related to the provider. Under current law, those providers can care for up to 6 children, but no more than 3 who are not related to them. So none of this really has to do with the cost, in my opinion. It's, a haphazard, we'll pay for a couple months. We're not even paying for it, right? We'll give you tax-free
Yeah.
access to pay for less than half a year, depending on how many kids you have.
We'll let you start your own savings account too.
We'll let you get an interest-free loan if you need to expand your facility, and we'll let you hire teenagers and
Yeah.
take care of more kids per employee. But this doesn't help the fact that most of the time all they can afford to pay their employees is $12 an hour, which is definitely less than Culver's.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this is insufficient. If you say differently, I know we have a couple calls in line. We have to go to a break, so we're going to take them when we get back. If you say differently, I would love to hear from you. But I would also love to hear from you because the first person who calls and tells us if they want to win the tickets for the Brewers game on Sunday at 12 and sit in the sun at 94 degrees,
Blue.
give us a call and let us know your favorite way to spend a long weekend, whether that's traveling and getting out of town, whether that's doing housework and yard work. Let us know. 844-967-2789. That's 844-96-PARTY. So two different prompts. If you want to win the tickets, you got to tell Greg, I'm here to call for the tickets. I would like to tell you what I like to do on a long weekend. If you have thoughts on this childcare proposal, we also want to hear that. Is this sufficient? Is this a start? Or is this just lip service? 844-967-2789. This is As Goes Wisconsin, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry. He is Greg Bach. What were we just listening to, Greg?
That song is called Brewer Fever. Brewer's Fever.
When was it made?
I don't know. That's not the first time I or Jane has played it either.
Jane's played it before?
Yeah.
I don't remember. It seems like it's something from the musical Hairspray.
Oh, I mean, like, I'm sure it was done in like 1979. And the video, I'm sure there's got to be a video accompanying it, and everyone's happy and clapping. And Bernie the Brewer is dancing
going down
around.
the slide.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And then like that class, like rewind, fast forward, like pew 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 pew, up and down and up and down, and yeah, it's great.
It's great. All right, welcome back. We are discussing the 6 bills that the Republicans are trying to spin into
Massage.
Yeah, well, there's to show that they understand that there is also a crisis happening, and this is their best solution so far to how to deal with the shortage of childcare options and the expensive childcare options. And so we ran through those 6 previously in the first segment, and my takeaway is I agree that I think it would be interesting to talk to more childcare providers because I do not worked in any kind of daycare, pre-K, anything, as far as what they feel like the obstacles are. But it does seem like a lot of the people who have been the most vocal about this and own their own childcare provider service or facility, this is not what they've been advocating for, because it seems like mostly it's just deregulation of let the workers be younger, let them take care of more kids, and here's like a loan. And so we have one comment from Dylan on the Facebook live stream. You can always watch us listen to us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Give us a follow while you're there at As Goes Wisconsin. Dylan says, I think they could expand public school funding and provide childcare before and after school. That would help. Overall, it doesn't seem like those bills would have little effect. And the before and after school, I think that's interesting. I mean, I wonder how much that overlaps when we're talking about childcare in general, because I think specifically the childcare, these bills and the childcare counts is talking about is under 5. So before they're in kindergarten, before they're in school for most of the day when parents are working, which doesn't necessarily help with before and after school. But that is another thing as far as if school gets out at 3 and most people work. I mean, although we did say the 9 to 5 is dead earlier this week, but a lot of people still work 8, 9-hour days. Where do your kids go after school? But I think that's where there are still more programs like Boys and Girls Club and school, like daycare, like things that are school run in elementary schools versus the gap of what do you do with your kid before they're 5 if you're still trying, if both parents, or if you're a single parent and you're still trying to work. But Jack from Merrimack has been holding on the line very patiently. Jack, what do you think of these bills?
I think it's more rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah.
These bills seem to fall into three categories. Let everybody pay some money. Not a government with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, but let people who probably can't afford child care anyway, let them now put $10,000 more away for child care. That's the first thing. So let the people pay. The second thing is let's put more kids with less supervision, and that's going to have about as good an effect as on the kids as I was a teacher for over 40 years, as putting more and more kids into a classroom. There's a saturation point, and that's probably been studied, and it's probably in the law right now. The third so-called solution: let's just scrap child labor laws and let's have younger and younger kids go into the labor market. So those are there are three approaches, basically. This is not going to do anything to really help the problem. If you can't afford to put, you can barely afford or not afford child care anyway, how are you going to put $10,000 more away? We have a solution, and the solution has worked. And I don't remember if it was the Inflation Reduction Act or if it was part of the COVID relief, but child care was being supported for the last couple of years from federal funding, and that federal funding is ending.
Yeah.
Since we have this huge surplus, some of it's got to go to replacing that money.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thanks, Jack. I got to let you go because we're still going to give we got to give Brewers tickets away. But I totally agree that I think this is insufficient. I think, and maybe there's an argument for doing both, as far as if there are some providers who are saying we need to loosen regulation. I would love to have that conversation with people who actually work in childcare, but I still think it's like you still have to. There's still a gap from what people can afford to pay and how much these people deserve to be earning, with living costs being what they are and that job being a skilled job. But anyways, let's get over to Mary and see. Oh no, Kelly. Sorry, Kelly. Kelly, you want to win some Brewers tickets?
I sure would love to have those Brewer tickets.
Well, what is your favorite thing to do on a long weekend? Tell me that.
Well, I love to fish. I fish every day.
You fish every day?
Every day. I'm retired and I fish every day.
Good
I fish
for
from
you.
5 in the morning till noon, and I listen to you while I'm fishing every day.
Oh my gosh, we love to hear that. I'm happy to give you these tickets now, Kelly. And so
Yes.
I
think you're terrific, and a young lady that works with you, I think she is just great.
Oh, well, we love that, Kelly.
On vacation, I wish I could remember her name.
Jane.
She's terrific. You both are.
Oh, thank you so much, Kelly. All right. Well, Greg's going to get your information at the break, but you're going to the Brewers game. And so thank you so much for calling, and thank you so much for listening. As a reminder, you can listen
Thank
to the...
you very much.
Thank you. You can listen to the Brewers on Oshkosh Air Support, 98.3 FM, 1100 AM, and WRCE News from the Center in Richland Center. And when we come back, Pat Kreitlow is going to be here. So stick around for the best, worst, and weirdest of the week.
Break your mama's back. When a problem comes along, you must whip it before the cream sets out too long. You must whip it when something's going wrong. You must whip it. Now whip it into shape. Shape it up. Get straight. Go forward.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry. Greg Bach is on the board, and we are welcoming back Pat Kreitlow, host of Up North News Radio, which you can hear across the Civic Media Network every Monday through Friday from 6 to 8 a.m. So you got it's for the early birds.
Yeah,
unless you can always listen to it as a podcast.
Yeah,
but that is a show for the early risers, which I'm usually up, but I usually have to be already working by that point. And so, but how is doing? How you've been doing it for? When did you switch to 6 a.m., Pat?
November, early November. Yeah.
Okay, so it's been almost a year.
It's getting close. Yep. And I'm realizing I still only need the alarm, my little 4 a.m. alarm. I only need it about once a week.
Okay.
because I'm of a certain age now where I'm up peeing anyway. Oh, wait, you can relate to this now, can't
I know,
you?
I can.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you're midnight peas. That's a normal
like
thing.
From 3 a.m. on once an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you gotten that checked out?
I drink a lot of water.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, Pat, we just gave away some Brewers tickets, but I'll ask you as
I
well.
know.
What's your favorite thing to do on a long weekend?
On a pontoon, I will be on that pontoon
Okay.
all weekend around Lake Wissota. It's gonna
So
be
jealous.
It's gonna be awesome.
So
I
you're
can't
not
wait.
you don't want to fight the crowds as far as getting out of town or being on an airplane or anything like that. Like you
No.
want to stay put.
I'm right where I want to be. When Sherry, my wife, was doing medical college at the Medical College of Wisconsin, and then her residency, and we thought, where are we going to settle down? One of the things we said is we want to settle down where people like to go on the weekends. So we're up here on a lake. If we do want to go play in the city, we'll go on some weekends. But on a weekend like this, we're just out there on the boat, out here in the open. Motor boating, as the song says.
Motorboating. All right. Well,
Yeah.
that sounds lovely.
Pontoon life's the greatest life.
Oh, it is. I'm telling you. Kristen, let's not bury the lead here having me on. I have been borderline emotional since late yesterday. I am so happy for you and this Milwaukee Magazine honor.
Aw.
Honestly.
Thank you.
I am, because, we go back just far enough that you were pretty well moved back to Wisconsin and saying, what am I going to do here? What's my niche? Where's my place? And, we've had lots of conversations over time about that, about the videos, and then the radio came up, and you did a little work for Up North News, as well. You were on a different podcast for a while. And I just knew when I first heard you were getting this time slot, I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is where she hits it. And clearly a lot of people figured that out right away, just like I knew they would. So I'm very happy about that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we do go way back. I think I first reached out to you when I still was figuring out what the hell As Goes Wisconsin even was, like April or May of 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which Up North News was still pretty new at that point as well. And it's like, there could be overlap here.
Yes.
And so,
we were introduced by, I think it was John Roach, was
Probably.
one of the people, and some others. And I was just so immediately impressed with your ability to be interested in the news without getting into the wonky journalism or political speak. And so I'm glad you're doing this. I know that life's about to get a little bit crazy for you, but like any other working mom, you carve out the time where you can. And I think you're just gonna continue to do all this, but this time with what I refer to as mini As-Goes. Until we get a name. Mini As-Goes will be on your knee, helping you out all along the way.
Asgolitos.
Asgolitos.
All right. Well, but thank you for all of that, Tat. That is very kind of you to say, and so thank you. I'm still
Kristen
trying to
can't take compliments.
I'm not very good at it. All right. So let's
Midwestern.
change the subject and get to what your best, worst, and weirdest news of the week was. I'm interested to see what you've come up with. So let's start with best.
Well, now again, remember, everything I do kind of comes through a political prism, being a political news junkie and doing the show that I do right now. And so I've got to say, one of them would be from the debate last week, but the headline that came up this week: climate change debate question reflects concerns among young conservatives. And it caught me right away that there are young conservatives out there who I may not agree with them on some issues, but they understand that there is something real going on here. And there was that very earnest question asked of the candidates on stage in Milwaukee: what can you say to help us young conservatives understand that you're not ignoring our concerns? Now, what happened was the candidates then all answered in a way that made it clear none of them are taking this issue seriously. But at least there was some hope that the younger conservatives that are out there understand just how big an issue this is, and they expect better from our leaders, and so good for them.
Actually, a couple weeks ago, we were doing I think it was after the Journal Sentinel had done an article like, what do young conservatives in Wisconsin want? And I was a little skeptical on what it was, like crime and inflation. I was like, really? But went on like a finding hunt of trying to find what are they saying. And actually, so not at CPAC this last year, not on the main stage, but on a side stage of young conservatives, climate change was there. And so it is something that's like kind of like hushed and pushed to the side, but that young conservatives, and it's not unsimilar or dissimilar to the gun issue, that the young conservatives are also not in like lockstep with their older party members.
They actually see the real problem. And as you just discussed here at the state level, the childcare crisis. That is very real. There are plenty of young Republican-leaning or voting families who see this and cannot understand why their Republican lawmakers are going la 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 la, like it doesn't exist, and they're not taking it seriously. So it is the younger folks who are going to have to save their party for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to what was the worst story of the week, Pat?
The worst story of the week actually happened last night. I was sitting in a local watering hole, as I'm wont to do, and getting set to just see some sports up on the TV there, when suddenly it went dark. And then there was just a text message up there. And the headline from today's Journal Sentinel says, ESPN goes dark for Spectrum cable subscribers amid Disney Charter Communications dispute. And so once again, we've got two sides that you can't root for either one because both are billionaire driven. And yet Spectrum customers can't watch ESPN now until these two figure out how they're going to divvy up the billions of dollars between them. It is absolutely insane.
So wait, so explain what's actually happening. So they can just...
If you go to ESPN right now, at least I haven't looked this morning, but last night, and I saw in the paper today, all across the country, people were expecting to see this big college football game last night, and instead they get this a message from Spectrum saying, Disney ESPN is no longer allowing us to show this channel, or they've decided not to show this channel, so you should contact Disney and ESPN and get them to essentially fork over more money is what they're trying to say. And I don't know if this is still going on. I don't know if it's going to drag itself out, but it never should get to this place. Again, much like the legislature, when you've got that many billions of dollars to work with, you should be able to come up with a win-win.
I just pulled up the article. So it's ESPN, ESPN2, Freeform, Disney Channel, FX, and National Geographic. So do they give you then is Spectrum going to give you a discount on your cable bill since there's now like 6 channels you can't get? And it's like, well, we're not necessarily like delivering on what you're paying for. So here's $10.
Oh, Kristen, that's adorable that you think that's what they're going to do.
Well, now it just seems like you have to, if you want to get ESPN, you have to get it through Hulu.
Sure. Why not another streaming service?
You can add on ES, because that's what I'm doing right now for the U.S. Open. Is I have ESPN on my Hulu, which is, by the way, owned by Disney.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have Hulu and Spectrum, would you?
No.
Because usually it's when you're getting like if you're.
But you can have both. People do have that now. So if they want to see ESPN, they can just go to their Hulu account. And tons of people have cable and streaming now because you have everything. It's expensive.
Oh yeah. Yes. Well, that is. Hopefully, I hope you get that back before there's any sports that you want to watch this weekend, Pat.
The only sport that worries me that way is I believe Sunday's Milwaukee Brewers game is actually on Peacock and starts at noon because Peacock has this deal where they do early Sunday games, and so I don't know if we're going to be able to catch it without having to go to Peacock, maybe sign up for a service or something like that. All these platforms are just getting odd. Some games are on Apple TV, some are on YouTube. Imagine trying to watch As Goes Wisconsin or listen to it, but like once a week or once every 2 weeks, you got to turn to another station or go to another website to catch it. We need more consistency, not less.
Are you in a Wisconsin media market, or do you get lumped into Minnesota?
No, I'm in the Eau Claire media market here in Chippewa County, but whenever I go up to Rice Lake in Barron County where my wife works, if she's on call at the hospital for the weekend and we go up there, all you get is Twin Cities TV because, Dunn and Barron and St. Croix, those are considered part of the Twin Cities, even though for a generation now, we've been trying to push to get it so that you can see Wisconsin stations, Wisconsin news, Packer games, rather than Twin Cities news and Minnesota Vikings games. I mean, that's just cruel and unusual punishment.
That was legislation that Tammy Baldwin was trying to do.
Absolutely.
And Herb Cole before her brought it up, and yet they can't get it past whatever powers that be.
Does that mean that they're also like their nightly news? Is it Minnesota news?
Yeah, it's Minnesota news. That's part of, that was when I was anchoring the news at Channel 13 in Eau Claire. There were a lot of times people say, well, how come you don't cover, something in St. Croix County or Dunn County? It's like, well, because we have no viewers. They're all watching Twin City stations. And so when they do hear, a Wisconsin news story, it's very rare. And so that's where they were thankful for an outlet like Up North News coming in and starting to cover Western Wisconsin more.
Because I actually got a comment like that once on one of my videos saying, like, I get my news from you because I live in a part of the state where I don't get Wisconsin news. But anyways, we have about 3 minutes left. So let's get to your weirdest story of the week, Pat Kreitlow.
As I was looking through stories this week, the one that caught my eye was a New York Times headline: "Why I love jet lag. Throwing off your body clock isn't all bad." And I thought, what a luxury. What a luxury that must be to endure the headaches and, the borderline nausea, depending on how far you're traveling. And this person was going on about, well, because I'm awake at 4 a.m., I was able to see the sun rise in this particular place. And I thought I like to travel, but to embrace jet lag is not something any normal person would do, and I don't recommend for anybody either.
Like, I would say I'm a pretty, I've been accused of being a cockeyed optimist in the past, but even that level of optimism is skeptical. It's suspect. It's like, oh, you're really looking for the silver lining there.
I say to that person, shut up, hippie. Shut up, hippie.
We don't want to hear it. No one likes jet lag. It's scientifically proven bad for your health, bad for your lifespan for people who travel and are hopping time zones all the time. It's not good for you. No. Who published that article?
New York Times.
CrispyCrunchy.com.
New York Times? Are they really struggling for content these days? They're like, this is a good.
We have a segment.
Headline.
We have a segment every Friday at 7:30, just devoted almost to terrible New York Times headlines. Usually because of the way they, both sides politics, especially authoritarianism. But they come up with doozies like this as well.
I think we were talking about yesterday. If you read that article, you got to read it like, jet lag's cool, man. You get to watch the sun go up, man. Awesome.
See, now the article makes perfect sense, Greg.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You guys want to listen to some Dead? Oh, man, I got some good tapes.
All right, well, we're going to take a break. Pat's going to be here when we come back, and we're going to go head-to-head. Headline quiz, Greg v. Pat.
Okay.
We'll see who goes first. We'll see who. It's a big winnings when we play this game. So stick around. This is As Goes Wisconsin. We'll be right back.
I thought I was smart. Thought I was right. I thought it better not to fight. I thought it was.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I'm Kristen Bry, along with Greg Bach on the board, and we have Pat Kreitlow here, host of Up North News Radio, which you can listen across the Civic Media Network, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, or as a podcast if it's a little too early for you. But we're now at the point of the week where we have a 7-question headline quiz where our guest goes against our producer. You just squeaked. No,
I lost
William
last
Walters
week.
just
I'm looking
squeaked
to
past
extend
you
that
last.
losing streak to 2.
That's your goal for the day.
Well, I'm 0 for 1.
Less pressure.
You are also over 1, so we'll see. So someone is going to be 0 for 2.
Somebody's getting off the schneid here. Here we go.
So, Pat, would you like to go first or second?
I will go first.
Okay. Which medication will be available without a prescription beginning next week? Is it A, Narcan, B, albuterol, C, ketamine, D, an EpiPen?
An EpiPen.
It is actually Narcan.
Oh, I knew that. I want to answer.
Well, you're not the guest, so you don't get to choose if you go first or second.
I feel like it should be a little steal. I want to reiterate the steal.
Steal. Oh, okay.
That adds a little too much complexity to an 8-minute segment.
That's true.
All right, Greg. Eminem demanded which GOP presidential candidate quit rapping his songs in public? A. Ron DeSantis. B. Vivek Ramaswamy. C. Mike Pence. D. Donald Trump.
My boy Vivek Ramaswamy.
Indeed.
He used to rep at Harvard.
Cease and desist. And
Oh,
so
but can we
Every
just for
single
a
time.
moment? Can we just think of Mike Pence actually trying to rap? Okay, we're done. We're
He
done
would-
thinking about that
say,
now.
We're done thinking-
He would
Yep.
say mother spaghetti.
I actually don't know who would be worse. He would say mother's spaghetti. Who would be worse? Mike Pence. I mean, Ron DeSantis trying to rap also would be
Oof.
wildly cringy.
Ron DeSantis trying to feel feelings is weird enough. I couldn't imagine him rapping.
And there are very, very, very few things I'll say positive about Donald Trump, but the way he played along when he was on SNL right before he kicked off his campaign, and he did that parody of Hotline Bling, was actually
I
not
forgot
bad.
about that.
Not bad.
Ugh.
There, I know. That's it. That's my one nice. I'm good for the year now.
All right, back to Pat. What Milwaukee bar is offering a promo where they will pay your bar tab if you watch the Jets and Aaron Rodgers lose at their bar? Is it Pete's Pub, Jack's American Bar or Pub, Worst Bar, or Joe Cats?
I'm gonna go with Jack's.
Ding, 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 ding.
Hey,
Indeed. We actually never ended up talking. I made a TikTok about it, but we never ended up talking about. They made like national headlines this week for offering this fairly petty promo. As far as if you come drink here, we will pay your tab if Aaron Rodgers loses. But there's a lot of fine print.
I'm here for the petty on Aaron Rodgers.
Are you?
For it. Yeah.
Are you here?
Yep.
Do you want to see him lose just all year?
I do. The whole COVID thing just put me over the top on it. Thank you for your service, but could you go ahead and please go 0-16?
I want to see them also because they're the team on that HBO show this season.
Yeah, Hard Knocks.
Where they're following them the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see tripping over loose shoelaces and throwing footballs into the audience and just the Benny Hill theme song the entire time.
All right, Greg.
Yeah.
What rap superstar's team has offered legal services to the man arrested at Kenosha's Applebee's? Do you remember this story?
Wait, what?
Do you remember this story from like last month? Of
No.
the black man who got like beaten in a Applebee's and he was the wrong person.
I remember that, but I don't remember. Okay, so you said a rap.
So there's a rap star. Which
Yeah.
rap star is now offering to pay legal service
Okay, gotcha.
for that man?
Gotcha.
Mike Pence. No,
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
sorry.
Is it Jay-Z, Kanye, Dr. Dre, or Sean Love Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka Puffy,
P. Diddy.
aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy?
I'm gonna say Jay-Z
Good job.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
because Kanye wouldn't.
Kanye ruined.
Kanye would walk up and go, "You deserve that," and then walk away, and then take someone's fries off their plate.
All right. So what are we? 2-1 right now?
2-1.
2-1.
Feeling good, people.
Pat,
All right.
which organization's West Coast headquarters is named in honor of The Price is Right host Bob Barker, who died this week? Well, he technically died last week, but is it the RNC, Greenpeace, American Red Cross, or PETA?
PETA.
Ding, 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 ding. Indeed. All right. 2-2.
And get those pets spayed or neutered while you're at it, folks.
All right. Greg, we'll see. We've talked about this one, so we'll see. We'll
Okay.
see how good your memory is.
All right.
Fill in the blanks. Blank is spending $216 million to destroy nearly 80 million gallons of surplus blank. Is it A, Wisconsin and milk? Is it B, France and wine? C, the FDA and Four Loko? D, Russia and vodka?
It is B. France and wine.
It is. It is.
Ho, ho, ho.
All right, Pat, if you can answer this faster, the seventh question. So I will say the question, and whoever answers correctly first, there are no multiple choice, gets the point. So this is your chance to tie, Pat.
I don't like these rules. Okay,
Well,
go on.
You're not the host, so
That's
too
Fair.
bad.
I'm not the award-winning host. Whoa.
Whoa.
All right. Wisconsin taxpayers are on the hook for legal fees for the GOP redistricting defense. What's the current expected cost?
$2 million.
$2 million.
Oh, Pat, Greg, you got so fast. Well, womp womp. Pat,
It's cutthroat in my world.
I know, seriously. Well, it was a good showing by both of you. I'm very impressed.
I know. What a worthy adversary. This is great.
We got kind of a snarky text message too coming
did
in
we?
from John in Menominee Falls. Maybe if Bob Barker had been telling people to get their Republican spayed or neutered, we'd all be in a better place.
Wow. That might be the text of the week.
That was amazing.
That was a really good zinger.
That's
Thank you.
gotta be.
All right, Pat, anything you want to promo for next week? Any guests or topics coming up for the show?
We will be talking about Leadership Green Bay coming up on Tuesday. We'll have, of course, our mutual friend Kristen Lyerly with Hometown Health on Thursday. And Wednesday, we'll be talking all about the voucher program in schools and the hesitancy, shall we say, for voucher school supporters to have a dashboard to
I know.
keep
Weird.
account. Suddenly they don't want to see where tax dollars are going. It's odd. So those are a few of the things coming up next week.
Rules for thee, but not for me, as
That's
they
it.
say. All right, Pat Kreitlow, thank you so much for
Thanks,
joining
Pat.
us. This was
Thank
super
you.
fun. Have so much fun on your boat.
Oh, I will.
Wear
Have
your
a great
sunscreen.
weekend.
So
You got
jealous.
it.
I know. All right, have a great weekend. When we come back, Am I the Sphincter? Special edition. We want you to weigh in, and we'll have more Brewers tickets to give away. And Matt Miller will be here. Full hour. It's Friday. Let's have some fun. This is As Goes Wisconsin.